Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Occult Studies in Ancient Magic. Today we are discovering tarot and we are covering the Devil and the Tower. Thank you, Jorge, for being here today.
Yeah, we're getting into the advanced X-rated cards here.
I am excited.
Yeah, this is the complicated ones. I guess we should start with the Devil.
Okay.
Let's read what Mr. McGregor Mathers / Falcon had to say about the Devil. He said this card should be studied in conjunction with number 13. I kind of don't agree very much with that. Number 13 is death, by the way. And it says there are two great controlling forces of the universe, the centrifugal and the centripetal, destructive and reproductive, dynamic and static. The lower nature of man fears and hates the transmuting process, hence the chains binding the lesser figures and the bestial forms of their lower limbs. Yet this very fear of change and disintegration is necessary to stabilize life force and preserve continuity. The colors are indigo, livid brown, gold brown, and gray. The reason why I asked you to bring my card, which is the one on the right,
Yay.
is because the other cards don't do a very good job at like trying to portray all the colors.
Okay.
Like you got indigo. I guess kind of like is that indigo? Yeah, I guess it's indigo. Crowley has it. Pixie Smith doesn't. But kind of like the Devil's Hex, a little indigo. No, not really. It looks like indigo from your screen, but mine doesn't look indigo at all.
Every one I tried to pull up, they all have like different like tones, so it's like kind of hard to figure out which ones to choose.
Yeah. Mine doesn't show it indigo. But in Crowley, you can see a little bit of indigo. It's more like a pinkish in mine.
Mm-hmm.
But mine is pretty indigo. There's
Yeah.
no way around it. It's pretty indigo. And says livid brown. Crowley doesn't have any livid brown. Mine does. Which is kind of like the bed and the chair in my card. That's why I actually pulled it up. And then gray. Pixie, I guess the horns, I mean the wings of the devil are gray, and then Crowley's kind of like those webs are kind of bluish gray. Mine is the whole coat of the devil is gray. I went for not depicting the devil as a pan looking guy, or I don't know how should we call it, a male sheep guy, like looking guy, but it's instead kind of like a real guy.
I like
Because
that.
I have dreamt the devil quite a few times, and he looks like that. He doesn't look like a guy with horns.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Is anybody else but Julie on the call that can tell me if we're still talking?
I can hear you.
Is there anybody? Should I? So it looks like Julie dropped out.
Can you not hear me?
World, are you there? Is it? Live one person watching.
Can you not hear me?
I couldn't hear you. Now I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear
weird. Me? Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you're good.
Is there anybody watching? Since there's one person watching, that's cool.
Yeah.
Whoever. We got one person watching.
We got this.
That's cool. So we got into the colors, and so that's why I actually pulled mine. And the colors are kind of important because they're the assignments of the symbols. Like the four for the indigo, it's Capricorn, and the Ayim I think is gray. Maybe I don't want to lie to you. Let me pull out my cheat sheet. Pretty sure because I wrote this book a long time ago. Now I do other type of stuff. hope that one person watching doesn't care that we're looking up reference. All right, here we go. We got Capricorn is indigo, and it's a yin. And then what else we got? Yeah, they're both a yin, they're indigo. And then the brown. Why is it brown? I don't see brown. But anyway, both of those colors are assimilated. Okay, let's talk about the stuff. Crowley, being the Crowley that he is, this is one of the most graphic cards that he has. I don't know how you can see it, but it has 2 circles at the bottom and one phallic symbol rising up from the middle, and there's kind of like a halo on the top. Now, why does he have this? How does he equate the devil to that? Aleister Crowley was the type of guy who calls himself the Great Beast and the Antichrist. And so, therefore, he also has, of course, that wand. That wand right there is the 5 = 6 of the Golden Dawn wand. That is the wand of the Adeptus Exemptus, the guy who is conducting the 5 = 6 ceremony. So he saw himself as an Adeptus Exemptus. This is basically Crowley. This is Crowley right here. This card of the devil is him identifying himself as the devil.
That's interesting.
He's kind of like, he's the Adeptus Exemptus. And of course, that little webs of stuff, it's kind of obvious that that's kind of semen. And then the little people that are inside the circles are the potential little Crowleys. But there's 2 of them. There's a left one, which are kind of like little human creatures, and then the ones on the right, they're kind of like one demon kind of trying to come out. And so kind of like a little Mr. Crowley, I guess, or a resurrection of Mr. Crowley in there. But what does that have to do with this phrase that says there are 2 great controlling forces of the universe, the centrifugal and the centripetal? The reason why I think Falcon or McGregor wanted to associate with death is because the death is kind of like a beginning and a new. It's kind of like it's an end, and now there's new beginning. Or there should be a new beginning, and that is one of the. And then this one, the devil card, now is like you go from a beginning to an end, and so that is kind of what life is. You know, when we are born, we have a time clock, you know, and so with death is the other way around, where like something has ended and there's a new beginning. In this one, now there's a new beginning and there will be undoubtedly an end. And so in the Pixies myth, it gets a little bit more basic. The Crowley deck is very complex. Crowley graphic of the devil card is very complex. He's very Freudian, shall we say. Very has to do a lot with libido, with sexuality, and how the sexuality is a preamble to creation. But as there is creation, there's also death, inevitable death. And then, but what does the devil have to do with that cycle? The devil is there because he can be seen in 2 ways. Number one, he is the one that controls life. He's the one that keeps it under bounds. And the second one is he is the accuser. He is not only the one that keeps life under bounds, but also he's the one that tells us when we effed up. You effed up, and so therefore, you know, you will have to pay for that when you go to the diamonds, not the demon or the devil, or the diamonds at the end of life. The reason why the Golden Dawn is called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is because it's a hermetic order. And as such, they believed in the afterlife of the Hermetics. And the afterlife of the Hermetics involved a judgment at the end of life, where we are placed before the diamonds that control human reality, and the diamond that follows us around, and the great diamond, the one in charge of all of them. And so, therefore, the devil can be seen as the accuser daimon, who is, we are all, according to Hermetism, we are all endowed with a particular set of daimons, and one of them is an accuser daimon. That is the diamond that brings us shame, brings us fear, brings us inadaptability. It brings us feelings of self-consciousness. And so, therefore, this is what that card symbolizes. It symbolizes our subjugation to fear, to shame, to self-consciousness. And of course, it's accompanied by the boundaries, by the boundaries which bisect human consciousness, reality. And so, therefore, Pixie Smith binds it in a very kind of like a male-female type of thing. The little devil woman on the Pixie Smith, she has a vine, and the vine is a very Bacchae, and so it's very Dionysian, where she has a very liberal. She has a very liberal perspective on sexuality, a very liberal perspective on consciousness. And so that is very devilish. And in fact, that is why Pan is depicted in her card. Because the Bacchae, traditionally in literature, which are Bacchae used a bunch of women who obviously did drugs. And they followed around a dude that looked like a male, what is that called? Goat, I guess. It's a male goat. Follow around a male goat with a double pipe. I don't know. I guess I have one. I can show it.
Yes, I have one, just casually.
It's like kind of like something like this.
Oh.
So it's Pan rolling around with his double pipe, and so so that's what happens. So that's at the Bacchae. So the woman on the left having the grapes on her tail, that symbolizes that she's a Bacchae. The guy on the left with the flame, of course, pretty self-explanatory. He's just the type of dude who's always horny. Now, in my card, I don't know how much you want to get into this, because this class is more about like Waite and Crowley. This card is very personal for me, because of course it's my art. I'm the one that drew it. I'm the one that came up with the 5-year-old drawings. But it was important for me to draw it, because I have dreamt that guy quite a few times in my life, where he shows me some really effed up stuff, but it's very illustrates a lot of the concepts that we just read and that I just described. I don't know, one of them, for example, I'm in a very fancy house, and he tells me, "Come here, follow me." And of course, I'm a dummy, and I love this guy, so I just follow him. And then I'm in the room by myself with him, and then he tells somebody, one of his assistants, to bring some people into the room. These people are very important people in the world. I didn't know who they were at that time. And so he brings them into the room, and then he says, he just winks at me, and he blows on them, and he turns them into ice, like just blocks of ice. And then he just goes close to them, and he just rubs his finger, and he just pokes at them, and they just crash. They just disintegrate. It's like the ice just completely disintegrates. And so, that particular dream vision, whatever you want to call it, it might not have been very meaningful to anybody, but it was for me. It was about the frailty of power, as to how much some people do to try to acquire power, and how easy they can lose it, and how fragile it is. And so therefore, was one of the reasons why I have lived my life the way I live my life. I don't want a lot of power because it's so fragile and it's auto-destructive. And so to me, that is the devil, more than all those complex libido things that Crowley and Mathers and Falcon talk about, trying to combine all this stuff with Freudian stuff. So
Yeah.
to me, it was more of a vision and trying to simplify it.
I like it.
And that's the devil card right there.
If you were going to pull this up in a reading, perhaps, how would you read that in a tarot card? If someone saw, like, anytime I read the devil card pops up, people are like, ah.
Yeah, it's like the devil card is basically the beginning to a destruction. So that's basically it. It can be a person, for example. If it's a person, for example, it can be interpreted as that particular aspect that is going to be introduced to that particular person can consume them. It can be a vice. It can be like a, it can be a drug, or it can be something that they are going to do excessively that will control them. It can be also a person. It can be, this new person is going to come into their lives and is really going to F them up because they cannot get away from them. It's kind of like a devil, I guess, can be seen kind of like a vampire, and especially with that concept of the energy vampire that's going around a lot lately in our circles of like talk, where they're talking about the energy vampire. This is what an energy vampire is. It is someone that is going to drain you from your vital force. Someone that is going to take away your sense of peace, of your sense of self, or it can be a substance, or it can be a job, depending on what are the adjacent cards. But it's going to be the beginning to a potential end. Okay.
Well, interesting.
But it doesn't have to be destructive. It doesn't mean that that's what using tarot as type of divination is great, because it tells you this is what's going to happen, and then you can identify it, you can stop it. And so the easier you identify it, the easier you can get away with it. Yeah. Or you can get away from it. That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. Would you consider the devil Lucifer?
No, not at all. Completely not at all.
Okay. I just want to clear that up.
Okay, great. Lucifer basically means the shower of light. And I don't know how much you want to get into this. It's a long story. Lucifer is actually Hekate.
Okay.
One of the aspects of Hekate is called phobia. Phobia basically means light, like photon means light. We still have like a fluorescent, for example, also kind of means light, which comes from phobia, from phobos. And so Lucifer was the Romanized or the Latinized translation to phobia. And so if we were to give the three names of Hekate, it will be Diana, Nyx, and Luciferia. And Luciferia is basically the full moon. In fact, Luciferia or phobia is the Statue of Liberty. It's like those statues in the Vatican, they look exactly like the Statue of Liberty. Is no coincidence. It's because that's phobia. That's Lucifer. It's like the Statue of Liberty is literally a female Lucifer. And the reason why it's called Lucifer is because she's the one that brings light in the middle of the night, which is the full moon. The full moon is the only one that can bring full light in the middle of the night. To try to clarify the darkness, which has to do a lot with symbolism. Albert Pike, in his book Morals and Dogma, he goes into this a lot, and he's so awesome at describing it. And that's why people are saying, "Oh yeah, Albert Pike is a Luciferian." It's like, yeah, but not the way you think.
Right. Yeah, I think there's like so much misconception.
Correct. And the elite are Luciferian. It's like, yeah, they're Luciferian, but not the way you think. And particularly because a lot of the elites, they don't worship Jesus. They worship Greek gods. You know,
Right.
that's the reason, you know, the top of the Capitol building has a goddess up there. Even the one here in Utah. In Washington, D.C., the House of Representatives has a goddess on top. The Statue of Liberty is, like I said, it's a goddess. The elite people of the world believe in Greek gods, but because they're not gods per se, they are symbols of archetypal forms, and that is what they worship of gods. You know, that God, if you want to get an introduction to that, or at least a very clear description of that, I'll suggest reading Plato's Symposium. I think in chapters 4, 5, I think it is 4, 5, and 6, they start describing we should make love into a god because love means dick. So it's not like love is a God up in the sky, you know, like a heavenly father or whatever, you know. No.
Right.
You know, it's a concept. And so it's an archetype that rules humanity. And so if it's an archetype that rules humanity, therefore it can be symbolized as a god. That is what a theos is. And so the elite of the world and Albert Pike understood that. And that is why they feel that Lucifer is a type of god, and it's meaningful, not because they worship Satan or whatever the heck they think it is, or like the conspiracy theorist people up in TikTok think it is. But you know, it's just a concept.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. The tower. Oh, this is a good one. Pixie Smith. Actually, this is the most accurate one. Pixie Smith, in my opinion. This is the most accurate one. All right, let's read the tower. As always, red remains persistent throughout the 4 planes, although modified in tone. Thus, we find vivid scarlet shadings into deep, somber red and vermilion shot with amber. The contrasting shades of green serve to throw the red into relief. The tremendous destructive influence of the lighting render asunder established forms to make way for new forms to emerge. It is revolution as distinguished from transmutation or sublimation, destructive as opposed to the conservative, energy attacking inertia, the impetuous ejection of those who will enclose themselves in the walls of ease and tradition. Man, that is such a beautiful like the summarization of the tower. It's just like, even with the words, English is such a dumb language in my opinion sometimes, because it has no inert meaning in words, but this one it does. When it says the impetus ejection of those who will enclose themselves in the walls of ease and tradition, even though those are like per se definitions, every word, but just that sentence is so powerful. The red. Pixie Smith doesn't have a lot of red except for the cape of the guy and a little bit in the tower. Crowley went crazy with the red, or at least Lady Ferris went crazy with the red. Mine has probably more red, but I think it's more in the place of things. The blue, where's it say? The constructing shades of green. Pixie Smith put the kind of like yellowish, but I think she meant to put green in the people falling, the king and the queen. So they're the ones falling, and so that is so beautiful because it signifies that the salvation of this destruction is within you, and so that is so cool. I didn't put it within you; I put it without. My shades of green are those little lakes kind of on the left and on the right. And the people are falling into those lakes. In fact, my card is basically just Pixie Smith's card, with the exception that I put an eye there. And I put the fire at the bottom where Pixie just has like rocks. Which I think Pixies is more beautiful in that regard, because rocks are actually, just... they hurt more than fire. I don't know. I don't know. They're kind of like tough, rough. I don't know. The meaning comes across very harsh or very rash. The The symbolism of the tower, as reading it in the context of a reading, it's basically what's most common. Destruction. It's just like it says, the impetuous ejection of those who will enclose themselves in the woes of ease. Basically, the tower is what happens when when anybody gets too comfortable. When we get too comfortable, when we get into a rhythm where we think, oh yeah, nothing bad is gonna happen, then something bad happens. that is what the tower basically symbolizes. That something bad is gonna happen after the edification of something that we have worked for. And so, but there's hope along the way. Nothing, nothing is bad forever. And so that's what that means. In fact, Crowley has a little dove on the upper left with an olive branch, basically saying there will be peace. And then on the right, he has Yaldabaoth. I don't know how much we go into Yaldabaoth and the Pistis Sophia. Yaldabaoth is the guy that took the light from Sophia. I don't know. We need to explain who Sophia is. Oh boy, I guess Jesus. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to summarize it. It's complicated. It's hard to define Yaldabaoth without having to define Sophia, and it's hard to define Sophia without having to explain what Jesus said. I don't know. I'll try to make it short. I guess I'm gonna try. The Pistis Sophia, it's a book that lived in the British Library for about 400 years, maybe 300 years when Crowley was there. And it's obvious that from the Pistis Sophia, they gather a bunch of ceremonialism that form Masonry, in my opinion. Because all that stuff with like steps, tokens, handshakes, even Mormon stuff, like steps, tokens, handshakes, and ways of wearing certain types of clothing is very Pistis Sophia. And so the reason why Jesus taught all that stuff, particularly in the Book of Jude, not that much in the Pistis Sophia, is because he is training his apostles. An apostle doesn't mean like a religious authority. It just means kind of like an angel. They're kind of like messengers. That's what an apostle means. It doesn't mean like someone that has like religious authority. Apostle basically means they're kind of like messengers, but they're also going to have the authority to be messengers. And so it's not like they just are messengers of like willy-nilly. And then on top of that, they're also apprentices. And so that's kind of what an apostle means. And so Jesus is teaching these apostles the way to salvation. He says, I am not the one who's going to save you. It is going to be Pistis Sophia that is going to save you. It's like, well, what do you mean? Well, Pistis Sophia is not a woman, or it could be, but I don't think it is. Pistis basically means faith. And let's try to define faith, because English is such a dumb language. Faith, it basically means to put your trust into something. And it also means that you understand the structure of that something. Whereas faith in American English, particularly, it is more of a financial type of definition, or like trust. But in Greek, pistis is more like you have a understanding or a trust of a form, or of a concept, or a definition. And so when you say Pistis Sophia, Sophia means wisdom. It's like philosophia, lover of wisdom. So Pistis Sophia is basically saying, I have an understanding of wisdom, or I have a mental image of wisdom. And so that's what Pistis Sophia means. Okay, anyway, so but then Jesus talks about Pistis Sophia as a woman. And so now that we have given kind of like allegorical of what could Sophia mean, now let's talk about how Jesus talked about Pistis Sophia. Because I guess probably Jesus understood that. I mean, he was speaking in Greek, or in a form of Greek when he's reciting this. So I'm assuming that Jesus already kind of understood that what these apostles were saying, they were understanding already this. And so therefore, this Sophia, she gets her light taken away from her. I'm not going to go into detail as to like the whole book, but and then when she gets taken, so light is kind of like currency in the afterworld. The Dionysica talks about it in the same form, where in the other world we don't have money, we have light, and we build our light in this earth. On how we live our lives and how we learn things and the things that we do. That is how we build our light that we enjoy in the afterlife. And so Yaldabaoth, the guy on the right, takes away Pistis Sophia's light and keeps her in darkness, and as he keeps her in darkness, she becomes enslaved to him. And so the tower, now that we went through all of that, Pistis Sophia, an explanation of Yaldabaoth. So Yaldabaoth goes into more detail, but that is basically what he is. Yaldabaoth is the opposite of peace on the left. Yaldabaoth is keeping people in misery, keeping people in darkness. And in fact, the Tower of Crowley, he kind of makes it look kind of like a dungeon. And so Yaldabaoth is definitely the keeper of the dungeon. We have some dark figures surrounding the tower. Those are the people that are falling, but they don't even look like figures. They look like disintegrated figures, which is very beautiful because it's basically saying that the people falling are no longer the same people that were in the tower. Now they're just shadows of themselves. Very poetic. Very poetic. The way Crowley and Lady Harris depicted this. And of course, you have the eye up on the top, which is like the same diamond that we were talking about in the devil. But we don't know which diamond it is. It could be a good diamond or it could be a bad diamond. I think it's probably the bad diamond because when we go through misery and we go through challenges, we tend to do stupid things. And there will be a diamond there to judge us for the bad things that we do.
Sorry, I'm taking notes. What's this thing at the bottom with the teeth and the mouth and the lips?
Oh man, that is also very Pistis Sophia. That's a dragon.
Okay.
I guess I can probably explain it. I don't know. It's gonna take a while to. In the Pistis Sophia, you know what Ouroboros is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. And so that is the Ouroboros, but in this instance, it's not biting its tail. Now it actually opens up its mouth. Give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm back.
No worries.
The dragon in the Pistis Sophia is hell. In fact, the reason why it's biting its tail is that so people don't escape hell. And so, but people have to come in. And so that is kind of what this means. It means that the people from the tower are falling, and if they fall, they're going to fall into hell. And inside of the dragon, there are multiple demons that torture them and punish them. And they go through multiple things. But once again, Jesus says, chill, it's also temporary.
Okay. Like
Yes, yeah. Crowley made the tower card very Pistis Sophia for sure.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Very cool. I was trying to see what else there was in here. Yeah, it just seems like very poetic, like both sides of things, and yeah, very deep. I like it. Also, you did a good job with these little people over here. Those are hard to draw.
Who, me? No, I suck at the point.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
No, they suck. Just trying to get the point across.
Yeah. We didn't talk about so this is Mars, right?
Oh, that's correct. It is Mars, and it's also Pe. So the colors for Pe are, Mars, red. Just red, yeah.
And usually Mars is depicted as like change, chaos sometimes.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Mars is strength, it's power.
Okay, I like that.
That's why the flag of Rome was red. The standards of Rome were red. That is why Julius Caesar, he wore a red undergarment.
Oh, I see.
He's a child. He's a child of Ares. All of the paintings of Caesar depict him with red. All of them, either a red tunic or a red undergarment. He was a child of Ares, and Caesar was the war master, and that is what Ares. That's what Mars is. Ares. He is the war master. So it's not necessarily change. It's most like when you say Mars is change, Mars is a destructive change, or a militaristic change. It doesn't mean that you're the one that receives change, but you're the one who can inflict change. Which in this case, that's the way Caesar described it as. He described as he is the one that inflicts change. He is the one that inflicts the sword of Ares, the sword of Mars upon people. That he is a messenger of Ares, a messenger of war. And so that is what red usually signifies, at least in the Mars symbology. In the Kabbalistic, the Pe is more of a enclosed change. Enclosed, it gets very alchemical. It gets very there's a transformation. That is probably where you're getting it from that transformation change thing. Because in Kabbalah, it's more of a change, where it's more of an alchemical type of change, where like some things are dissolved so they can be reconstructed, and they become dissolved based on the intensity of the fire. But it comes from Mars. It comes from there will be change, but the change is violent, and the change is done through the god Ares.
Cool.
Actually, in fact, if you want to change it, you want to switch it, even the angels right there. My card has the angel, doesn't it, at the top? I think it's the angel Samael.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
So that is the angel, the Kabbalistic angel for change, which is not an easy angel to deal with. Samael is destructive, which it comes from the Greek. It comes from like Ares. So Samael, you can say, it's like Ares. It's like Ares is a god of war, and Samael is more like a god of warish, alchemical change.
Yeah, that's how I've understood it too. Cool.
Yeah.
So then I have to go back to this because I see the Capricorn symbol over here.
Yeah, it's very pan. Yeah, Capricorn.
And then what's the Hebrew letter?
That is Ayin. Yeah.
I'm laughing, of course. The devil would be a Capricorn card.
Yeah, it's very pan. It's very pan, of course. Like so much influence. It's like people think that we're not. People underestimate how much are we influenced by Greek myth, but there is so much. But then again, it's like the Catholics made it bad. It's like, oh yeah, Pan is a bad dude. It's like, don't follow him. But then the bad guy, we're always following him every year. He's like, oh, we're gonna have a fun time.
It will never be boring.
It will never. That will certainly be true. It will never be boring. That's for sure. Pan will keep you entertained forever.
I could say the same for Capricorns.
Right on.
As a Capricorn.
You're a Capricorn?
Yeah, of course.
Right on.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool. I'm trying to think if there's any anything else I wanted to ask from these two different ones. They're just so fascinating, and like the more you look at it, I feel like the more you see.
Yeah.
And let's see. Yeah, I can't think of any other questions that I have. I've already answered the questions in the comments.
Cool.
Do you have anything else to add?
I don't. One thing, I don't know. I'm surprised because nobody's paying. I don't know if people are paying attention or they're actually not paying attention. But there's one thing I missed, and I don't think I missed it because I don't think it's very significant. But the inverted pentagram on top of the devil in the pixie,
yeah,
that doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. Is that I think I don't know why it's there. Pixie Smith was not that as smart as Crowley, and so I can tell you why the pentagram could be there. It could be an Aphrodite type of symbol, but this is a male-oriented card, not a female-oriented card.
Yeah.
And so also the position of the hands is very Eliphas Levi, Baphomet. Mm-hmm. And so it's just kind of trying to make it as devilish as she could, you know. Yeah. So she took the picture of Eliphas Levi Baphomet. It doesn't even have the soul with the soul with coagula on the arms, because she probably didn't understand that. She was not an alchemist. And also the pentagram is usually the sign for Venus. And so why is there Aphrodite or Venus in the male card? So it doesn't really quite mean anything. She's just trying to make it devilish, but that's about it.
Yeah, I always feel like they just do an upside down pentagram for like kind of devil-y kind of things.
Yep. Even back then, for sure.
Yeah, so weird.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, cool. Well, thank you. That was very interesting. That was like, yeah, I didn't know what to expect because you prepared me, and then I was like, okay, this is actually really cool. I'm into it. Yeah, and like such different depictions, especially in the devil card, like so bizarrely different.
Yep, and I try to make it as PG as I could for Facebook.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Or awesome. Not Facebook, or YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, both. Awesome. Well, then I will see you in like less than 20 minutes in Espanol.
Cool.
Awesome. I'll see you in a little while. Thanks for watching.
Right on. See you then. Thanks. Bye-bye.